Meanwhile, in Minnesota, local and federal officials are giving contradictory accounts of what led up to the killing of ICU nurse Alex Pretti by a Border Patrol agent. State and city officials say DHS blocked them from accessing even the scene where it happened. Now a judge is ordering federal authorities not destroy evidence related to the shooting. So joining us now is Rosa Brooks, a Georgetown law professor and former Washington, D.C. Reserve police officer. Thank you so much, Rosa, for choosing to talk to us today. The Department of Homeland Security leading the investigation. Is it normal for DHS to cordon off the area, not allow local police in, and then keep local and state police out of the investigation?
No, absolutely not. And it's not normal for a judge to have to order the federal government not to destroy evidence. Usually we assume the federal government's not going to destroy evidence, and it says something about the moment we're in that's a real worry. But no, normally federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, state level coordinate pretty effectively together. And that's, I think, part of the reason that we ended up with this horrific shooting and with so many incidents of violence is that we've seen federal agents come in without any apparent interest in working collaboratively with local authorities. So you get a scene of just total chaos where you have agents who are not familiar with the city, not familiar with the community, frankly, not well trained, and it's basically a recipe for catastrophe and tragedy.
How crucial is the information at a scene immediately after something like this?
It's vital. Immediately after, that's when you can see, marks on the pavement. You can see everything from, foot scuffs to, I hate to say it, blood patterns to where shell casings have fallen. You can evaluate the angles a vehicle and people were at during the incident. And if you can't get that information right away, it obviously hampers any resulting investigation.
What's the risk then if that information is only in the hands of one side and not both sides?
I think we're at a moment when the credibility of the federal government is extremely low in the eyes of many people, and particularly in the eyes of many citizens of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota. And it's a moment where what one would like to see would be federal officials saying from the very beginning, hey, this is a terrible tragedy. We are going to find out what happened. There's going to be an investigation. We're going to be transparent. We're going to release all of the facts. And we want to hear your concerns. And instead, we have, I think, the polar opposite. We have very, very senior U.S. government officials essentially saying, we've already decided what happened, that this was a domestic terrorist who brandished a weapon. And those facts, that does not seem to be supported by the actual facts. So there was a rush to judgment by the very officials who should have been being scrupulously neutral and scrupulously careful.
What is the danger when the investigation and the investigating party rushes to judgment like that, gets a head start on setting a narrative?
I mean, it's so dangerous on so many levels. I mean, you first, just at the narrowest possible level, it becomes very hard to find out what actually happened. And again, going back to that issue of having to have a judge order the federal government not to destroy evidence, my God, that's not the kind of thing that you normally think that you need to have a judge do. So number one, you sacrifice potentially the truth. But number two, I think the damage to just the credibility of the authorities here is devastating. The federal government and the state and local authorities need to have the trust of local people. And when they lose that completely by appearing to not actually care about the truth, it's really, really hard to get it back.
I just want to ask you about the video because it seems like it depends on which set of eyes are looking at the video, because one person, one group will come to a very quick conclusion. Another group comes to another conclusion. Nowhere is there peace found or even truth, right? As you look at that video right now, and you've seen it from several different angles, you've seen both interpretations, given your expertise in the past, what do you think happened here?
I think we've got a best case scenario and a worst case scenario.
Okay.
The worst case scenario is that we saw a helpless man who had been disarmed and who had not been brandishing a weapon in the first place, who was behaving peacefully. We saw a helpless man being murdered in cold blood. I think that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, frankly, is not a whole lot better than that, because the best case scenario, we see a bunch of agents who are clearly poorly trained, executing incredibly poor tactics. They're not communicating with each other. They're all mobbing towards the one guy, and then we see a firearm that is being discharged into a scrum of agents. I mean, leaving aside anything else, right? Just the horrifically negligent tactics there. The agent who fired the first shot could easily have killed another agent. You know that you don't fire your gun where you don't know where that bullet's going to end up. And in fact, all those bullets ended up in the body of one man. But it was a situation in which it would have been extremely easy for any one of the agents to kill another agent or to kill another innocent bystander. So, you know, best case scenario, you've got chaos, you've got poor tactics leading to a preventable tragedy, that you had the kind of confusion and reflex shooting. And this is something that all police train very hard to avoid. You know, one shot gets fired, all the other officers panic and they think, uh-oh, somebody's shooting, maybe I should be shooting too, and they start firing without having a very clear sense of what they're firing at or why. It's pretty clear that, you know, again, best case scenario, that started to happen there, that you got a panicky agent. They weren't sure what was going on. They didn't notice that Pretti had already been disarmed. You get one shot fired and then other agents start sympathetic firing just out of sheer panic and adrenaline. That's not a great situation either. You know, that you put poorly trained people into an explosive situation. And again, best case, you get tragedy. Worst case, you get intentional murder.
Rosa Brooks, thank you so much. Hope to talk to you again here on CBS News 24/7.